The Japanese yen is the weakest it's been in 30 years. We have been traveling all over Japan for the last 2 months and successfully sticking to a budget, so
let us show you around what a couple of days of exploring Japan looks like, with all the costs attached to them.
as of the publishing of this video, $1 is 157 yen. This means that your dollars are going farther than ever, so that dream vacation to Japan can now become a reality. Also, keep watching till the end of the video, where we'll discuss why the yen is so weak at the moment and approximately how long before the yen recovers its strength.
So let's take out some cash and let's get the day started. When you're coming to Japan, make sure that you use the 7-Elevens here. Especially when you take out cash, you're gonna get a very, very, very good rate. Just make sure you press the yen button and not the dollar button.
Alright, now that we have some cash, let's go to the metro.
Before I forget, there are some machines that you will see in several different cities here in Japan that take 10% to convert your money from whatever currency you have into yen. Just use the 7-Elevens. This is not sponsored, by the way. Let's talk about the metro here. You can get one of these, but please do yourself a favor and just download the Suica app on your phone. It's gonna save you a ton of hassle.
Now, we have been using the Suica card on our phones all over Japan, and they work flawlessly.
Please don't be intimidated by Japan's metro. Japan's metro is actually very easy to navigate as long as you have Google Maps on your phone. Google Maps will show you everything you need to know, how long it will take, and how much your trip will be, so don't worry. Just remember to follow these 3 rules. There are 3 keys to the metro here in Japan. Focus on the color, focus on the number, and focus on what exit you're gonna use. One thing I have to be completely honest about is that you're gonna have to do a lot of stairs, and that becomes problematic when you have a lot of luggage. So let's talk about the JR Pass. Ever since late 2023, the prices have increased a ton, so it didn't personally make sense for us. Maybe it will for you. The only way we see that it makes sense is if you're gonna be traveling around a bunch of cities using the Shinkansen system. Most people that come to Japan are probably gonna visit the big 3. They arrive in Tokyo, then go to Osaka, and finally arrive here in Kyoto, which is where we are.
So for us to go from Tokyo to Osaka, it took around 15,000 yen, or $100. So if you think about it, the JR Pass really didn't make sense for us.
So what people don't realize is that you don't really need the bullet train to go from either Osaka to Kyoto or even to Nara. Let us show you another option which is pretty cheap and pretty awesome.
So for example, we are boarding this ultra luxury super fast train from Kyoto to Nara for only $5.
This train takes 30 minutes, so no Shinkansen needed, and it's absolutely stunning. So now let's talk about renting a car here in Japan. From what we've seen and read, most people don't rent a car when they come to Japan. We highly recommend it because you can see some amazing stuff. Kind of like that guy right there, you probably recognize him. And we've also seen some amazing things all throughout Japan. If you want to rent a car here in Japan, we did it in 3 locations: Kyushu, Kyoto, and in Tokyo. Expect to pay around $60 a day.
One thing we noticed was the high toll prices. Some of them can be upwards of $10 for not very long distances. For example, our trip from Kyoto to Nachi Falls was 3.5-hour drive each way, which was a total of 7,500 yen, or about $50 in tolls. Something to be aware of. That being said, the roads are impeccable, so that money goes to good use. I'd say finding a pothole in Japan is more rare than finding a trash can in the streets of Tokyo.
Honestly, I haven't seen a single pothole here, and we've been here for 2 months. Over the last 2 months, we have driven around 2 weeks, and we've only spent around $100 total in gas. Cars seem pretty efficient here in Japan. So for a full tank of gas, that was $25 from like basically empty.
Finally, if you're considering taking a ferry here in Japan, let us tell you, they're awesome. There are some unique ways to travel through Japan, not just with the Shinkansen, and we had our fair share of them over the past few months. We took an overnight ferry to Japan's 3rd largest island, Kyushu, for $60 per person. It was an awesome experience because we not only had transportation, but we also saved a night of accommodation by staying in their capsule beds for the night. As an extra bonus, if you want another way to get from Osaka to Tokyo, you can take an overnight ultra-luxury bus called the Dream Sleeper Bus, where you have your own little capsule, just in case you want to do something a little out of the ordinary.
I feel like we're in first class in an airplane.
We're in a bus.
We're in a bus.
We paid $125 for this experience, and it made sense for us because we saved a night of accommodation.
Which brings us to the topic of accommodation. We have been traveling the world for the last year, and 99% of the time we're going to use Airbnb due to our food restrictions. For our entire 2 months here in Japan, we averaged around $80 a day for accommodation, and you can expect Tokyo to be the more expensive part, and we averaged around $100 in that particular section of Japan. For example, we are staying in this amazing Airbnb with such an amazing location overviewing Mount Fuji, and this was exactly $100 a night. Extremely worth it. We also stayed in some really cool and futuristic capsule hotels that average around 7,000 yen per person per night. If you're interested, we have a full-length video on the channel. You're most likely gonna go out to eat since you're in Japan, so let's go get some food. I would say for ramen, expect to pay anywhere from $7 to $11, depends on how much stuff they add on there. For a bowl of ramen, some rice, and some tea, that came out to $15.50, which is exactly $10. Now for sushi, is a different story. Now let's talk about sushi. Sushi is a little bit more complicated because you can have the Michelin star experience, or you can go somewhere more local that's still awesome, like this place here in Kyoto. For example, every piece of sushi that you order in this traditional restaurant here in Kyoto is about $1.50 per piece. Super traditional, and it's not gonna break your budget. I'll leave the restaurant name down below. So for a ridiculous amount of sushi and some sake, we paid $50. Please come to this spot. 100% worth it and 100% authentic. Which brings us to the topic of alcohol. Now, quick tip, before you go out and experience the nightlife in Japan, get yourself one of these. This is an electrolyte drink that you can find in any convenience store so that the next morning you're not regretting it. You can find any sort of alcoholic drink out in the streets because they sell them here in vending machines. It can be quite cheap to either get beer, or my favorite drink has been highballs, which contain a little bit of whiskey in it. So overall, you can get pretty buzzed for pretty cheap prices. So let us take you to the most infamous bar here in Kyoto while we're at it.
We don't go out much, but expect to pay anywhere from $3 to $6 for a beer at a bar. We are in one of the best bars in Kyoto, and drinks are anywhere from 1,700 to 2,500 yen. The most expensive are the ones that come with a bit of a show.
Finally, let's talk about some of the best activities you can do here in Japan, starting with, you probably guessed it,
For $80 per person, you can take a tour around Tokyo doing real-life Mario Kart. There are several locations you can choose from all over the city. We had to message them on Facebook to book, and it was super easy to coordinate. Also, super important, you need an international driver's license to be able to drive.
100% worth it. This is one of the best experiences we've had in Japan.
All right, now that this is done, let's go to Team Labs. Now, we can't mention a trip to Japan without talking about the immersive Teen Labs experience in Tokyo. 2 exhibits are running in Tokyo, Borderless and Planets, and for around $30 per ticket, they both were incredible experiences. All right, so far, guys, this has been worth the money. 100%. Imagine stepping into a digital art world where boundaries disappear and you become part of the vibrant interactive installations. At Team Lab Borderless, you'll wander through stunning, ever-changing digital landscapes, while Team Lab Planets lets you immerse your entire body in water and light. It's like stepping into a dreamscape where art, technology, and nature blend seamlessly. It's honestly perfect for those seeking a unique adventure and breathtaking photo opportunities. Now, after going to both, we definitely recommend going to Borderless because it was more immersive and the exhibits were a lot more visually stunning. We didn't want to leave. After going to the Borderless exhibit, the Planets exhibit wasn't as stunning, and if we could go back, we would have skipped it. There were a few rooms worth seeing, so if you only have time for one, pick Borderless. Japan has a huge cafe culture, and you can find a coffee shop with every theme possible. If you're into cute and cuddly animals, then this next activity is definitely something you're going to want to do when you're in Tokyo, and that's going to an animal cafe.
You get your hands off me!
There are a ton of them, from owls to cats to otters to some weird little foxes. Japan definitely has an animal cafe that can suit anyone. We went to Animal Cafe Harry for $20 per person. This one we went to was a hedgehog otter cafe, and it was insane. There is one very special cafe in the heart of Tokyo that you just have to check out. This cafe is not only run by robots, but they're piloted remotely by people with disabilities, allowing them to work and interact with customers in a way that breaks down physical barriers. If you're ever in Tokyo, it's a good way to enjoy a cup of iced coffee while supporting people with disabilities.
essentially how this coffee shop works is that the robots bring you your drinks, and these robots are actually powered by people at home who have disabilities that otherwise couldn't have a job.
Do you plan to go sightseeing?
Yes. Yes, we're gonna go all over the place.
We just got done talking to our avatar. Her name was Hina. And we just spent a couple minutes just talking with somebody.
Honestly, that cafe was awesome, and we're so happy that we can contribute to the people that are working from home. Now, the next thing you're gonna wanna do is come and rent a kimono. We are doing this in Kyoto, and it's actually pretty awesome. Check this out.
Honestly, for $70 for two people to dress up, it's not too bad.
2 suggestions. If you're gonna wear the Japanese shoes, make sure you carry your own shoes because they're very stiff and very hard to wear, especially if you're gonna walk around. And 2, the lady that dressed me up, she asked me where I was from. When I told her Mexico, she decided to pack me up like the tightest Chipotle burrito ever. It's very tough to get around in these, just be aware. So let's talk about why the Japanese yen is at its weakest in over 30 years, and it has to do with interest rates, both from Japan and the United States. The Federal Reserve has raised interest rates in the United States to combat inflation. On the other side of the coin, Japan has been doing a negative interest rate policy to promote growth in their economy. What that means is that investors are buying bonds in the United States with yen to gain interest on a pretty safe investment, and this in turn weakens the yen. Obviously, I know that I'm oversimplifying this, but that's kind of how it works. So how long is the yen gonna remain this weak? It's uncertain, but what I can tell you is that until the US drops their interest rates, the yen is gonna remain very, very weak. So you still have time. Anyway, hope that helped. Catch you guys on the next adventure. Peace.
As always, thank you so much for watching.